Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I had to make this trip real quick up here at the cabin. I'm gonna grab all that sap, load it up in a truck, and turn around and head home. Hopefully I should be able to make it home by 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then we'll get up early tomorrow morning and we'll start the boiling process on this sap. Now, some of you might be wondering, why am I doing a quick trip to turn around and go home? That's because for the next 2 weeks I'm on call, and my on-call starts at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stay at the cabin tonight. But for those of you that are interested in the maple syrup process, stay tuned, because I'm going to show you everything that we're doing to reap the rewards of our hard labors.
Hey guys, check this out. I've got 4 out of the 6 trees where sap is finally running, and this thing is filled up to the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain these babies and get them back going. It's kind of cool. I just made the trip up here. I knew that they would be full. The neighbor gave me a call and said, hey, you better get back in your woods and get your sap emptied out of your bags. But he couldn't get back here because last week we got another, I think it was 17 and a half or 18 inches of snow. And to walk back here, I've been crushing through. You can tell I'm breathing heavy. I've been crushing through the top layer of snow, and the snow here is still crotch level deep if you break through the top surface. So I'm not quite sure why 2 of my trees didn't produce, but I'm going to go ahead and empty the sap from the other 4. And this sap is just coming out at a real good pace. So I think that we can get enough to at least boil some off and see if this is something that we're going to like to do. Check this out.
In the great words of a great American chemist, Jesse, let's get cooking. All right. One at a time. I'm just going to start out with one. One thing that I didn't mention, the reason why this isn't so efficient, now that I'm thinking of it, if you do it over that outside cooker, the best way to do it is to get a long flat pan, because the more surface area you have that comes in contact with heat, the quicker it'll evaporate. In this case, just for interest of time, I wanted to make this go by pretty quick because I am on call and I don't know how much time I'll have to dedicate to this. We're going to go ahead and use my deep fryer and propane, and we're just going to fire this baby up and we'll boil it off that way. You want to open up that gas valve? A large part of the maple syrup process obviously is the social part, so we're going to start out with lunch and keep our workers happy. Alright guys, so what we're doing is we're pre-warming the sap indoors on the stove.
Because it's windy as hell outside.
So, you know, years ago, I can't remember, it was my grandma that said it or who the heck said it. She told me don't boil your sap inside the house because it makes the walls sticky. So I don't know if that's the truth or if that's an old wives' tale, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to preheat the sap here. And then after we preheat the sap here, then we're bringing it out to the deep fryer. And I think that's just a much more efficient way to save on the propane. Alright, we are finally in the final stages of simmering off all the liquid. What we're going to do is I have this little, I guess you call it a flask for lack of better words. We're going to go ahead and fill this up with syrup all the way within 2 inches of the top. You don't want to put too much syrup in there because it'll overflow. And then I just went to our local hardware store We have an Ace Hardware that's close by, and a lot of times the hardware stores will stock up seasonably for different events that are happening, and they did that with maple syrup this year. So I picked up a hydrometer. We'll put the hydrometer into this flask and see where it is. And then on the hydrometer, there are different marks that are already put on there from the manufacturer that tells you if the syrup is done. All right, so I have a feeling we aren't quite ready, but because I'm not an expert and this is my first time doing it, obviously common sense tells me to go ahead and check this out. So we're gonna go ahead and fill this with the syrup all the way within 2 inches of the top of this. We are getting close. It needs to thicken up just a little bit more. I tested this actually about 10 minutes ago, and it's about 50% better than what it was 10 minutes ago. So we're going to give it another 10 minutes of simmering, and then we'll go ahead and we'll test it. One of the things that I forgot to mention, but my bride was smart enough to fill in and let me know, is this little thermometer came with the deep fryer, and one of the tall tale signs of when your sap is done boiling and it's officially syrup is it's supposed to read 220 degrees. If it's not ready, it'll be a much cooler temperature. You know, I think normally for the last 15 minutes when we've been testing it, it was like 210 degrees, and that thermometer is starting to come up close to that 220 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and retest this, and I think we're probably close to being done. All right, folks, we are at our 220 degrees. Let's go ahead and put this in the syrup, and we'll see where it levels out at. And right now we are exactly at the line.
We got it?
Yeah, take a look. Well, you can see the camera probably won't pick it up, but
Oh, yeah.
You think that's good?
Yeah, will it thicken though? Because will it thicken as it cools or what?
It'll thicken as it cools.
Yeah, because that's...
This has a couple different marks on it. It has a mark for if it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and then the other one is when you're hotter.
Uh-huh.
And this one right now is reaching that red line of when it's hot. So I'm gonna go ahead, we'll turn the heat off on this now, and yeah, we're at our 220 degrees, 219, 220.
Yeah.
We'll let it cool, and then we'll go ahead and do the straining with cheesecloth. All right, we're running out of space here. I'm gonna have to go get another jar. After you put the syrup in the jar, turn it upside down and let it sit until it cools, and then it kind of creates a siphon and it seals off the jar. And there's such a high concentrate of sugar in here, I don't know that you really have to do it, but we just do it to be safe. And this syrup, I don't know what I got in the background is on the camera showing you, but it's got a real light color like honey, and it just tastes fantastic. And after tasting this, I mean, it was a lot of work to take all the moisture out of the sap, but once it was done, it really paid off. And if you're interested to speed up the process, I ended up picking up an RO machine for the second time that we went out and collected sap. So if I have enough of a response, if you guys want to see the second time, I'll put a video out next week with the second trip on there. I do have all the footage on my camera, and I am on call, so I won't be able to get up to the camera, but that might be some good filler if you guys are interested. If I don't see enough interest in it, then piffle on it, I won't put it on. But this is the color, I'll get a better jar. This is the color that we got on the second trip. I don't know if the camera will pick up the color difference, but it's a lot darker, and it still tastes the same, and it's great, and we love it. But what we decided to do, we put some in these real tiny little containers. We're going to give these out as gifts, and then the larger containers we'll either keep here at home or take up to the cabin. This morning we did break out our first jar on waffles, and I'll tell you, this stuff is just incredible. It tastes better than any store-bought syrup that I've ever picked up. And this is actually, believe it or not, this is my first time tasting regular syrup the way that it was meant to be. Otherwise, I've always had store-bought, and the store-bought, it's good, but it's nowhere near as good as what the real deal is. So thank you guys so much for joining me this week on Carl's Off the Grid. If you're new to the channel, we appreciate you dropping by. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It helps the channel grow and helps ensure that we come out with more videos like this. So, all right guys, appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on Carl's Off the Grid.